Hi, I'm Dr. Jean Fourie, and today we're talking about the nervous system and brain biology for teachers. It's crucial that as educators we have some idea of the nervous system and its component parts, how it controls our learning and our movement, and this is all important for us as teachers to be aware of. So the nervous system is the nerves that control everything that our body does. The neurons, which make up the nervous system, have input neurons and output neurons, and there is an integration of the sensory neurons that have input into our bodies from the environment around us, and the motor neurons that allow output so we can move. The brain can control what the muscles are doing and the organs of the body, and we are able to walk around and learn and do writing and all the things that are needed for daily living. So there are interneurons. These are the neurons that link the sensory neurons and the motor neurons, and they have a connection or an associative function within the nervous system. The nervous system can be broken down into two main components: the central nervous system, abbreviated as CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, the PNS. The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system consists of the somatic system and the autonomic system. We're going to have a look a little bit more detail at these two systems. The autonomic system is further broken down into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems. So the central nervous system, comprising the brain, generally the brain and the spinal cord, and this consists of the midbrain, the brainstem, the cerebellum, and the spinal bulb, which is also called the medulla oblongata. These are all situated in the skull, and the narrow spine, which comes out as the spinal cord and is enclosed and protected in some very strong muscle. So the peripheral nervous system comprises all the nerves that go to your face, to your arms and the organs of your body, and your legs, to the whole body, all the nerves that come out of the spinal nerves. That is all the peripheral nervous system. So all the nerves, the structures that lie outside of the brain and the spinal cord, are in this periphery. These are specialized neurons that have input functions. So they have neurons that come from your eyes, and your ears, and the skin, and your sense of taste and smell. All these input functions enable us to get a sense of what is going on in the environment outside of our bodies. And the peripheral nervous system also has all the output neurons that function in a way that enables us to respond with our muscles so that we can move, and with our glands so that our internal system can stay working. The peripheral nervous system has two major divisions: the somatic system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic system consists of sensory neurons that are specialized to transmit messages from the eyes and the ears and the sensory receptors and the motor neurons that send messages from the brain and the spinal cord to the muscles to control all our voluntary movements. So the axons of the sensory neurons group together like many strands of a rope to form the sensory nerves, and the motor neuron axons combine to form the motor nerves that control arms and legs and your body, all your voluntary movements that you make. So the somatic system allows us to sense what is happening in our environment and to respond to it with the movements that we make. The peripheral nervous system has the autonomic nervous system, and this is all the internal environments of our body. So the internal environments, this is got to do with your glands and the organs inside your body, heart and lungs, your stomach, intestines. These organs and their functioning are controlled by involuntary muscles. So we have very little control over that, and the involuntary functions such as your respiration, your breathing, circulation of the blood, and the digestive system, all of these are happening as part of our body functioning. The autonomic nervous system also has a function when it comes to your emotional responses, our emotional behavior, and our responses to stressful situations. So when we are placed in times of fear or some kind of stress where you think that you are going to be in danger, the nervous system will start reacting. And so this is where the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems come to play. So the sympathetic nervous system is an activational or arousal system. It functions to mobilize the body's resources when they are needed. So if you encounter a stressful situation, the sympathetic nervous system will speed up your heart rate so that it can pump more blood to your muscles. It will dilate your pupils so that you can see better and generally activate the body to respond to the stress that it perceives. And then the parasympathetic nervous system has an opposing action, and this will oppose the sympathetic system's function, slowing down the body processes. We cannot stay in that state of activation for a long time. The body needs to go back to a state of tranquility. So whereas the sympathetic nervous system will speed up your heart rate, the parasympathetic system will slow it down. So these two systems are working together to maintain the equilibrium in our internal organs so that we maintain a state of homeostasis, a balanced state where the body can function optimally. So the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are activating and coordinating to help us to perform the functions of daily living much easier. If we look at the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and the spinal cord, we notice that the spinal cord has nerves that enter and leave the nervous system through the spinal cord, through our necks. The spinal cord goes right from the base of the brain all the way down to the last vertebra, and in adults it is about 18 inches long and about 1 inch in diameter. The bones of the spine are designed to clearly protect the spinal cord, which runs through the middle. And a stimulus response is built into the spinal cord, known as the spinal reflex. And the spinal reflex is a response that can trigger an involuntary movement of the muscles. For instance, if you put your hand on a hot stove, a reaction will be triggered where your hand will be moved away very quickly without you having to think about it. So it is a within the spine trigger reaction. Here is a cross section through the spinal cord. The sensory neurons will come in to through your skin. So there are receptor neurons on the skin. The stimulus comes down into the spinal cord along a sensory neuron. Because it is a very hot stove and there is a sense that the person might burn, the reaction goes straight from the interneuron to a motor neuron, which is an output, and it goes down to the muscles of your arm and your hand and automatically pulls the hand away from a perceived threat. So this is a reflex reaction that does not go all the way to the brain, and it is a mechanism to protect the body. So the nervous system is this very complex, highly specialized system that allows us to do the most amazing functions as people, running and walking and singing and dancing and all the amazing things that we can do. And the complexity of it develops continuously from conception, and we are continuously changing and modifying and honing our system. So the sensory systems are integrating with the motor systems, and we know that at school, as children are developing, they are getting more proficient at holding their pens and reading and speaking and writing and doing sport and athletics and cultural activities. And so as teachers, we need to be aware that we are continually honing and developing the nervous system of the learners in our classes. And an understanding of the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic activation and the parasympathetic inhibition, knowing that we need to give children time to calm down, to balance, to respond to stressful situations. Schools are places where a lot of stress takes place, tests, and children need to perform and do things at school. So as teachers, we also need to give time where the child can come back to a sense of being tranquil and in a state of being in balance. So as educators, we are assisting children by providing many opportunities and activities throughout the school day and throughout the grades as children progress. And we are building strong bodies, and we are building coordinated movements and strengthening the nervous system and allowing lots of connections to take place. So thank you very much for listening, and think carefully about children's brains and nervous systems and bodies when we are teaching them.